Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Kassidy Krown. I am the Director of Digital Marketing and Advertising at Agile Education Marketing. And I'm so glad you're here to join me to talk about audience segmentation, what it is, how we use it in digital, social, omni-channel campaigns. And basically, we'll just jump right in. So, audience segmentation is how we delineate the different audiences we may use. So when we set up a digital or an omni-channel campaign, it's focused on and built upon Agile's data. So when we work with you and we identify your campaign goals, organizational goals, priority initiatives, anything like that, we really look at who you're trying to connect with. And that could be a broad range of individuals, whether it's from the classroom level teachers to administration, superintendents, all the way up. If we're looking at K-12, if we're looking at higher ed, it could be your instructor level all the way up to top decision makers or presidents of universities. So with audience segmentation, it's how do we group those people together? Should we be using the same content, creative copy for administration that we are also using for teachers? If that's the case, then we would lump them all together in one audience. However, what we've found is when you segment your audiences or you use audience segmentation, you create groups of people who are like-minded in what they're trying to use and implement for your products or your offerings. You see better engagement, better conversions for your campaigns. So if we're talking about a district-wide adoption of curriculum or a tutoring program, yes, we may want administration as an audience segment because you have the decision makers are the ones who sign off on the implementation, the purchase of the curriculum or the platform. However, it's really your classroom teachers who are going to be using it. So there's a level of advocacy that can come from the bottom up as well as from the top down. And that's where audience segmentation is so vital because you really learn and target your messaging to the challenges, experiences, and benefits for each of those audience segments. Audience segmentation allows you, like I've previously mentioned, to tailor your message and your creative and your overall campaign to best impact and reach and engage individuals. So if we look at a curriculum platform, for example, we look at what topics or subject areas are included. If we're looking at math educators and history educators, as well as science and social studies, there's a bit of a difference in what the challenges their students may be facing in a math class compared to world history. So when we look at audience segments, yes, we want all of the educators to adopt the online curriculum platform. However, it needs to be more tailored to the experiences that they're living day in and day out. So with that, audience segmentation allows you to create 4 audience groups in that example. You've got the individuals who teach math or are decision makers with math curriculum. You have science the same way, you've got history, and then you could do English, lit, whatever it may be. But then you create detailed and direct messaging that attributes to each of those curriculum areas. So you could create a message if we're talking about February, we've got Black History Month and history classes that is often acknowledged. So you would then create your campaign messaging to tie in with the curriculum that you know schools are going to be focusing on, those teachers are going to be teaching during that period of time, and you highlight the resources that is available on your platform. Whereas for the math teachers, maybe you have someone teaching algebra, you're going to create a math educator audience segment that then tailors the messaging to some of those pitfalls or challenges students may be facing in your algebra classes. And that really shows the benefit of your platform in different curriculum areas and different settings. But ultimately, if you have your history teacher providing a buy-in, and then you've got your math teacher advocating for the adoption because of the benefits it can provide to your students, then your district administration are going to hear both viewpoints and see that the offering you're providing really can meet the needs of several different areas. You're addressing multiple problems with one solution. And that's ultimately the benefit, the biggest benefit in audience segmentation for a campaign like that. We also have audience segmentation that we work with our clients on that's regional or geographic location based. And with that, there's really the benefit of then we can look at sales territories. For some of our clients, they may have districts or regions that include a singular state. We have some that include a tri-state region. And with that, we can take that geographic information, match it to our database, and create an audience segment for each of those territories. And then we create curated campaigns that then go to direct landing pages on our client sites that instill this consistent messaging while also making it more direct to that audience. Whereas if you did strictly a nationwide campaign and you're directing everyone to the one landing page, there can be a bit of depersonalization that occurs. And the same, the educator who may be in California could be facing a completely different experience, environment, school structure than an educator who is teaching in Kentucky. So when you separate it by the districts and regions, it provides a more personal touch. They can see more directly through the line. There's not so many hoops that they have to jump through to get the information, but it also allows you to create and identify more specific audience information, meaning you can see how an audience in California may present or interact differently than an audience in Kentucky. And it gives you more information to create and better tailor or optimize those campaigns based on how each audience segment is interacting, which ultimately increases your performance of your campaigns. Another way to look at audience segmentation or how you potentially segment your audience could be based upon how they've interacted with your organization historically. And by that, I mean retargeting and remarketing. We work with several of our clients who either Agile facilitates their email campaigns or they've sent several email campaigns of their own on a relevant topic to the same kind of content that we're trying to market for digital marketing. And we use metrics from that. We look at what they've engaged with, how they've engaged with it, but we also look at the more granular or more statistical, quantitative aspect of it. So if we're doing retargeting, there's several ways that we can do it. We use different tracking metrics and tools across the various platforms, whether it's a Meta Pixel or a Google tag. LinkedIn has its own insight tag, but really kind of retargeting and acknowledging how people have interacted with our campaigns in the past. So for example, if we look at an email campaign we sent for a client over a period of 2 or 3 months, we have one client that we're currently doing this with, and we've looked at their past campaigns email-wise for the last 3 months, and then we segmented the audience or the individuals on those email campaigns into 2 different audience segments. One being the individuals who opened the email but did not click through or engage with the content of it. And then we have a second audience that looks at the individuals who did open and engage with the content. And we've created 2 different audience segments within that and are using those audience segments as a basis for how we set up some of the campaigns, because then it also shows how the omni-channel approach works for our clients. And omni-channel is tailoring your message to the audience on that respective platform while keeping a consistent focus or theme. So individuals who may engage with emails are not necessarily going to engage with the same exact style copy or content on those platforms. Some of them may not even be on a particular platform. But by looking at the different audience segments, then we can tell, okay, these individuals who were in the opened but did not engage audience, they did engage on Facebook, for example. So we know using them on Facebook is going to help with that re-engagement or retargeting. Whereas if we look at individuals who did engage with the email but are also engaging on social, does that lead to higher conversion rates? Oftentimes for our clients, it really does make a big difference. So that's just another way that you can do some retargeting if you're not looking at using website or visit information. We also have clients that we do re-engagement campaigns for. We have a curriculum client who does high school curriculum, and it's a platform-based offering. And they had a portion of educators who were signed up to be users, used the platform for a period of time, and then became inactive by the definition of the client. We take that list once a month, and we update it, and then we use that as a re-engagement campaign on digital on two different channels currently. And we've seen the ability to re-engage and reactivate those educators that had become inactive users of the platform. So that's a benefit of that kind of retargeting, remarketing approach. You can also look at demographic-based information. So we have reporting dashboards that we provide all of our clients with that are very detailed in performance of the campaign, yes, how the copy is creating, engaging, how the creative is engaging, but we also go more granular and we look at device type, time of day, day of week, their gender, their age, and we use that information to identify or create audience personas based on the platform engagement for each of those clients. And that helps inform how we move forward with the campaign, whether it's our recommendation for the client or the client's request of us. Both are completely valid. So we had one client in particular that was doing professional development for certain educators, and we saw very high engagement rates of individuals who were older than 54. And the PD that was being introduced was more targeted into younger, brand new, fresh out of college educators. So looking at the high engagement of that demographic, but compared to the age that they were hoping to introduce to the new curriculum, we actually put an age restriction to focus on those 30, 35 and under educators that they felt would be very beneficial to their campaign and their conversion efforts. And it did prove beneficial, but for that audience that we separated or we suppressed, we did a more general brand awareness for the other offerings. So it gives you information on how they may engage. The younger audience did increase their engagement rates when we provided a more custom tailored messaging for that brand new kind of resources. But the brand awareness for the older audience, and when I say older, it is strictly a number based. But we really focused on, okay, brand awareness. The individuals who may be not fresh out of school are more of your department heads, your decision leaders. So we tailor the messaging towards that as well. So you can really take audience segmentation any way you like it, but we do recommend that you keep a slightly larger audience. We've really found an audience segment of about 50,000 is really where we like to start with our audience segments, because below that, it's very hard sometimes, depending on the titles and the type of individual positions, to get an audience large enough for your campaign to be successful. So oftentimes when individuals or organizations are trying to target educators, they use native targeting available in the platforms, whether that is demographic information, whether it's interest information, or potentially where individuals have indicated they may work, or the titles that they hold in their positions. The platforms take the information that you as the user put into it and identify you by that for individuals to then serve advertisements to you. In the case of a lot of our clients, the usage of that native targeting or even lookalike audiences, which are audiences that the platforms create to look like a certain following, a certain pages following, certain interests, those oftentimes can lead to higher levels of impression usage, but it doesn't have nearly the accuracy of using an actual data source like Agile. So when Agile facilitates campaigns for our clients, we are strictly using Agile's audience and educator database. it's 7 million plus individuals. We have school and home email addresses, and we use both of those for our campaigns because we see educators using both of them. And we have significantly high match rates because we use both of them. But the benefit of using an Agile style audience where it comes directly from our database and we create custom audiences on the back end of the platforms that are then used for your campaign versus using the native targeting that are in the platforms, or are you going directly to the platform and them doing it for you, is that we can say these are the most up-to-date current educators in these positions. We update all of our audience segments for our clients every single week. When our database is updated, we see between 3 to 7% turnover or change in those audiences weekly. So if you take that during peak times, it's going to be more than 7%, especially when you have the start of the school or semester changes, those hiring cycles. And we use those to create your audience. We serve directly to that audience. So we are using educators based on the titles or the selection criteria that you have identified from Agile's data dictionary. And what that means is you can work with our account management team, or our account management team can provide those recommendations to you of who is best fit for your audience or audiences based on your goals that we go through in depth during an introduction and onboarding call. And with that, your ad dollars are being best utilized because they are going directly to the educators you're wanting to see and reach. Whereas if you're using a lookalike or some of those native targeting, you could, and most likely are, getting individuals who are not the educators you're trying to reach. I've worked in public libraries, nonprofits, and now I work for Agile, and I will get served ads for nonprofit university programs. I'll get served ads for high school tutoring software or programs. Thinking and situated, the ad is situated in such a way that it believes that I am working in nonprofit, or I am an educator working in a school district who needs tutoring for my students. Whereas I have interest in those, yes, personally and professionally. However, that organization whose ad served to me did not utilize those ad dollars, were not best utilized for them because it was served to someone who has no ability to purchase or need to purchase in the type of offering they're providing, because I don't work in that environment. I have a colleague who likes to say, um, you get Tim the yoga teacher and not Tim the actual teacher. So with Agile, you really have that benefit that it is the educators you're trying to reach. It is strictly confirmed in our database, and those are the audiences we use. Now we have, like I mentioned, some additional audience segments that we can do retargeting and remarketing, but we do ask that all of our client campaigns be based upon, at some level, Agile's database, because it does help improve your performance, your overall engagement, all of that information. We see much higher averages of our click-through rates or ROIs based on using our audiences and our recommendations compared to education industry averages. So it's definitely a big benefit to use it. We also know that depending on when we're working with a client, we have clients we work with all year round. We fluctuate their audience segments and the amount of emphasis we put on certain audience segments during the different times of the year. And that's a big benefit of working with Agile too, because Agile understands education and understands educators as individuals and as an industry. Many of our staff members or team members were on staff as educators or in schools prior to joining Agile, including some of our founders and our leadership. So it is a big deal that they understand and provide that research data, that analysis of the buying cycle of educators. When should we focus on different titles? Probably the start of school is not the best time to be pushing for a large district-wide adoption that would be a significant investment. However, January through April was the best time to do that buying cycle push. So there's a level of strategic partnership and consultation that also comes with working with Agile, whether it's for digital or omni-channel or even just data that our team provides our clients with that goes beyond just the services and offerings that we provide. It truly is a partnership of trying to understand who you're trying to reach, why you're trying to reach them, and then we provide you with the information that we know is best suited for your goals as an organization. So I mentioned a little bit on lookalikes and retargeting and custom audiences, remarketing, the different kind of strategies we use for audience segmentation. But there's another way that we can approach audience segmentation analysis, which really comes into effect with A/B testing. And historically, you hear A/B testing as the copy is one thing and different on another, but you keep the creative the same, or you keep the creative similar but a little bit different and keep the copy the same. Whereas we also take it a step further and we look at how an ad may perform for one audience segment compared to another. For example, we have a client who has a demo video of the platform that they provide. We've segmented their audiences. We have the administration level, and we also have some lower level department as well as classroom influencers as an additional audience. And then we also have a remarketing or a re-engagement campaign for that client. So we have those three segments, and we're all serving the same ad, which is this video ad that's a demo overview. However, we look at how the three different audience segments engage. So, for example, we know in one of the audiences that administration only watches the first 25% of the video. Whereas when we look at the second audience demographic, we can see that the drop off between watching the video 25% of the time compared to 50 is significantly less for that second audience as compared to the administration level individuals or educators. So that's helpful to know when we think about, okay, we have this 60-second video ad. We're really seeing the most engagement, the most views in that 25% window for administration. However, we're seeing consistently higher views to at least half the video for the education level. So we take that 60-second video, and for administration, we can revise it to a 15-second video. And then for the second audience, we can make it a 30-second and a 15-second, and then compare an A/B test of the two 15 seconds together for those two different audience segments. But also for that second audience segment, we can look at the engagement or conversions we see between the 15-second and the 30-second and compare them together to see, okay, does it really add any benefit to have both of them? Is one better than the other? And we've actually found for some of our clients that we do a similar analysis for it, that actually the longer video is more beneficial for one of their audience segments compared to the others that they have. It also helps us identify based on if we're doing an A/B test that's completely the same copy, same creative, but different audience segments, we can look at the user behaviors once they get to the landing page. So if we're sending administration and classroom influencers to the same landing page, are they engaging with the same copy or content on that page? If administration is only focused on the high-level overview section, but the heat map on the page shows educators are specifically looking at their curriculum focus, then we can take that information and use it to retarget those individuals and those audience segments with more tailored messaging. So for the admin level, we'll keep an ad that is strictly more of that overview level. Whereas for those more classroom influencers, if they're focused on curriculum or their areas specifically, then we're going to create advertisements based on that. So A/B testing isn't just limited to the copy or creative, the actual advertisement. It can also be used in audience segmentation to identify how individuals engage with the content that you're putting before them differently from others. And it also is helpful to know how individuals in the same audience segment may be engaging differently on the same page or with the same advertisement. I mentioned earlier in this presentation how you can tailor your advertisements to your audience segments and not using the same audience segments and the same creative together. Whereas it's best to make it more personal, more relatable for the individuals in your audience segments. If we look at doing a lead generation campaign for a client, we have a client who does district level adoption, and their audience is the first segment is your superintendents, your assistant superintendents, district level leadership. They have a second level that is your principals and assistant principals. And then they have a third that is truly those classroom level individuals. So if we take just that classroom level individual and the very top, which are your district level administration, and serve them the same ad, they may not engage the same way. So for example, client who offers a student engagement platform, and we have individuals in messaging about the overview of what the platform can do. It can be used for X, Y, and Z. However, when we serve that ad to educators who are in the classroom teaching every single day and individuals who are in administration, we saw a significantly lower engagement for those classroom level individuals as compared to administration. And that's because the ad and the creative and copy were more geared towards those district level issues that teachers may be facing. Overall pass rates, overall performance on standardized tests, anything like that. Whereas classroom educators are more focused on the challenges that their students are facing in that moment. So working with that client, we created two different advertisements. One that was still in that messaging from the original ad that focused on the district level state pass rates, standardized tests, things like that. Whereas we also did an educator focus, classroom level, more geared to your students may be facing trouble right now with this issue. And we saw a significantly higher engagement rate for those individuals, and our clients saw higher conversions. So by taking a look at the problems that individuals are facing and how you present the solution, it definitely tailors the message to their benefit or how you propose a solution for them. We had another client who we had all levels of district administration and various types. And if we look at an individual who is in charge of security for schools compared to individual who may be heading up the IT department, yes, they may have some similarities if we talk about cybersecurity or maybe some of those threats that can happen. However, when we get down to it, the security individual is more focused on the benefits of the protection to the school and the students, whereas IT is more coming from the position of technological weaknesses or strengths. So creating two different messages that relate to those specific areas leads to an increase in engagement. And that's really the benefit with audience segmentation too, is because when you separate it, yes, it does initially require more work. You're creating additional assets. However, the actual engagement can be significantly higher if done properly because you're directly impacting or addressing the questions and problems and challenges that individuals are facing right then. Whereas a classroom educator may not be facing the same challenges that the head of security may be facing. When we look at the benefits of audience segmentation, I've mentioned a couple times that it really does come into effect and impact the performance overall of the campaigns. And at the heart of that, that's your statistics, your key performance indicators. So with some of our clients range from very beginning into digital and omni-channel, and they're partnering with us as their first avenue to do that, to clients who've been doing this for several years, decades, and like the partnership that they feel and the benefits they gain from working with Agile and managing, facilitating, and optimizing their campaigns. But with that comes different levels of KPIs, or those key performance indicators that I mentioned. So for some of our clients, they keep it very, very high level. They're interested in impressions, clicks, click-through rate, and then any of the demographic or usage information we can provide with them. Then we have other clients who have the ability to do more of those tracking tools or metrics that I'd mentioned earlier that help indicate engagement. So we can see if we install a meta pixel on a landing page, what actions that individual takes or those individuals take once they get to that landing page from the advertisement. And that tells us what their behaviors are, what their user behaviors are, what their audience behaviors may be indicating. And those can be anywhere from, okay, they made it to the landing page to they clicked on this button and they filled out our lead gen form. Or they clicked on this button and then went to this other landing page. And from there, they went to an additional page, shows that behavior path. We can also utilize heat maps, which I may have mentioned previously, that show they don't actually take an action on the page, but as they scroll, they sit on a particular area for a while and then move on. It shows that they have interest in that particular area or they spent a little bit of time looking at that content. That information can be really helpful for our clients and for us. It tells us how to best tailor our ads and our creative in the messaging. It also tells our client, okay, maybe we should prioritize this area. Or if they have a priority area that's not getting engagement, it allows us to identify that area as a need or focus to put more emphasis on, and maybe how we can best support our client in doing so. Another avenue is actually using those website analytics. So if we're talking about GA4, we have some clients who use Shopify, anything like that, it tells us the behaviors as well. And that can be really helpful in identifying the success of the campaign, the conversions that they see, anything like that. But our KPIs are really tailored based on our clients and what their goals are. I wouldn't say any of our clients have the exact same KPIs. And with that comes custom reporting that are tailored to those KPIs. So I'd mentioned we provide our clients with a reporting dashboard, and in that it is set up to identify different areas and performance within those. So we have some clients who are really interested in how the creative specifically is going over. So we'll create a page based on creative, and then all of their KPIs align with those metrics based on creative performance. We have other clients who are really interested in strictly lead gen, and they don't care what it takes. They just want to see form fills on their page, which is also a very valid stance to take when they're looking at their KPIs. So it really fluctuates from there. But when we gather all of that information, we present it in an easy, digestible platform that is updated in real time. So the clients can see at any point how the campaign's performing. There's filters on it that they can change the date range, anything like that. But it helps too, because when all of that information flows in, it helps us to identify patterns and trends. So if we have a client who is in the finance industry and they have certain buying cycles which don't necessarily align with education buying cycles, but they're more targeting educators as consumers rather than educators as educators, we combine our knowledge or our base of how they're engaging. If we look at the platform performance and we're seeing highest engagement on Wednesdays in the number of individuals present in the amount of clicks, but we see highest click-through rates on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m., it's indicative that maybe we should focus more on that 9 a.m. area for conversions and maybe more brand awareness during that time period where there's actually more educators on the platform. It also helps to identify age demographics. If we need to tailor messaging, if we're talking about educators as consumers, we talk about individuals face different things at different stages of their lives. So you can do audience segmentation that way and look at the different KPIs that align with that. So it's really a constant process and it's ever evolving. We can also change audience segments in and out. We fluctuate the ad spend or the amount of emphasis we're putting on certain areas or geographic regions at certain points of the year based on the organization's focus for those each year. We have clients who we know we have an annual partnership with them. And in certain months, we'll do a big push and then we may pull back a little bit. We have a technology client who focuses in consumers, but specifically, we're working with their team that focuses on educators as consumers. Couple big sales. We also time it to when others that may be competing organizations have their sales and how we bid against certain keywords. But all of that comes into play with how we look at continual performance and engagement and how we pace your campaigns. It also plays into how we optimize your campaigns. So I'd mentioned, fluctuating the amount of ad spend we put for a certain time of year, but we also look at the copying content. If we're talking about doing big pushes in October, November for a history platform, we're going to tailor your keywords to the curriculum that's being taught then, primarily some election terms, political voting, polling, anything like that to align with the curriculum focus. Whereas if we shift to that February where I'd mentioned Black History Month, then we're going to change keywords to focus on that. We're going to change copy. We're going to change headlines. We're going to change creative. And all of that keeps that continual positive performance, because if we keep the same keywords, if we keep the same copy, if we keep the same creative for long periods of time, you get something called ad fatigue. And that essentially means people are seeing your ads too many times and they stop engaging with it. So we have a sweet spot or a cap where we like to stop our frequency if ads are seeing that ad fatigue, and we switch them out from there. But it really is to our benefit and our clients' benefit to be continually engaged in our platforms. We are engaged in our client campaigns every single day. And it's important because that helps keep those optimization scores extremely high. It helps keep that performance rate up. It also helps us identify early downward trends. So because we're constantly in there, we can start to see if we're trending a little low, and we will let our clients know, even if it's before our biweekly check-in calls with our clients, hey, we really do think that it would be beneficial if we maybe make a small revision to this or we switch out creative for that to help increase that engagement. And yes, we do meet with our clients biweekly or whenever regularly that they've asked us to. And that's a great time for us to kind of dive into our analysis of how it's performing and our recommendations to increase optimization. But we are always advocating for our clients, and we'll communicate with our clients if we start to see trends that we have some concern on before that meeting, so we can respond in our own time much quicker than waiting for the next scheduled meeting. And that's really for the client's benefit, to make sure that their audience is getting the most potential engagement for them. Well, I appreciate everyone for their time today watching this video and just learning a little bit more about audience segmentation. It really is the best way to build a strong foundation for your campaigns or your digital advertising and omni-channel efforts. With audience segmentation, you're creating those custom buckets that align with your organization's goals, priorities, initiatives, and ensuring you're focusing on individual or more detailed messaging that allows for better engagement and conversions and ROI or ROAS overall. When we talk about how we go about this, there's several ways to do it that we've covered. You're always welcome to reach out if you have any questions. But for Agile, we really base it on our data, and that's how we base all of our offerings and our engagement efforts. In our educator database, using that for our custom audiences, we can ensure our clients are reaching the educators that they're wanting to reach. We can ensure that they're reaching the most accurate or current up-to-date audience that they can reach. And we're taking away that potential misspend of dollars for lookalike audiences or native targeting that can bring in your yoga teachers instead of your high school social studies teachers. So there's really the benefit of that, but also Agile just knows educators, and we know education, it's what we're passionate about. We are the leading organization in education data for that reason, and there's a reason why we only focus on it. And we really enjoy the partnership that we have with our digital and omnichannel clients when it comes to connecting with educators. We're all passionate about education and educators, but there's a minutia that comes into effect with how you actually reach them, how you engage with them. Everyone may have different opinions or engage in different ways, but Agile really strives to ensure the best potential experience for our clients, and that comes from knowing who they're trying to reach as the education leader. So it's really to their benefit and your benefit. But regardless of whether or not you partner with Agile or you do this on your own, I really encourage you to look at audience segmentation, even if you are using native targeting or you're working with the platforms directly and they're doing the targeting for you. There's still a great level of granularity that can be to your benefit. And if you make that effort to focus on administration versus classroom influencers, or if we're looking at certain regions compared to others, it's really to your benefit to take that extra time to do that segmentation and make sure that your message is going to be best received by your audience. If you have any further questions about Agile or even just about digital advertising and marketing, we do have a digital advertising page on our website you're more than welcome to take a look at. We encourage you to do so. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or your account management or your sales team members. We're really here to support you. And if one of us doesn't know the answer, we will find it out for you a different way and make sure we get back to you. But I've really enjoyed my time with you guys today, and I hope that this has been beneficial for you, and I really appreciate all of your time. Once again, my name is Kassidy Krown, and I look forward to hopefully connecting with you in the future. Thank you.